I'd like to welcome everybody. This is our first large gathering, maybe about 2.5 years. Morning, the first time in nearly 50 years, there's two deer right outside my window, bathing in the sunlight and the calm and peace. This talk is dedicated to Ukraine and also Russia as well, and humanity itself. You know, on the news, you hear people say Putin should be accused of war crimes. War is a crime. Basically, we even forgot about that. One student of ours, she has two German shepherds, and she said that the dogs do not fight over food if they have the same mother. Isn't that interesting? We as human beings, humanity itself has the same mother, but we don't know it. That's our ignorance. We don't need to fight over food. So we have the same mother, and this mother oftentimes is called nothingness, something you can't grasp. And it's the underlying essence of all things in the universe. But that's why Einstein liked Dharma, Buddha Dharma, because it's about the principles of the universe. It's not man-made. We're adapting to the principles, to the principles of the universe where there's opposites. And within those opposites, if we don't understand how they work, night and day, good and bad, large and small, we suffer. And that's a consequence of our ignorance, that we suffer. So how to have disease and medicine subdue each other. It's interesting. Disease and medicine subdue each other. Black and white subdue each other. And actually that is the process of Zazen. In Zazen, our sitting is not better than anybody else's sitting. Our sitting is just our sitting, and there are other kinds of sitting, and we respect all traditions. We had a 30-day retreat, and it was kind of makeshift because usually there's a leader, but we didn't have a leader for some reason. So we sat in a very light schedule. But actually, I remember when Thich Nhat Hanh was here, he introduced, during the whole day, he introduced, I think it was maybe an hour or half an hour, wherever you were on the land, he would ring a bell, and then everybody would stop. And it was piercing. It was really piercing and effective. So the schedule we have is very light, but it still had the same effect. What the Jujing Dogins are, these are our ancestors from China and Japan. He said that when you, something about returning into the cave of emptiness, and we're returning to where we were before we were born. The word unborn is a beautiful word. Not that we were born, but we came from the unborn. And that unborn, another name, many people call it emptiness. We can also call it suchness. It's some solidity to nothing, but it means the same thing. Nothingness, that's hard to grasp, and suchness, which is also hard to grasp, but it's a little bit more appealing. But suchness, that's the same strength and the same underlying principle in all things. Just like the dogs know it so well. They don't even have to think about it. They don't fight. So during this makeshift ongo, there were different people that read some phrase after each sitting in the morning, and it was very interesting because it pulled in the rest of the sangha. But what I found one of the most important practices during the ongo was reading the Fukan Zazengi. I mean, it's a long Japanese term, and in the translation it says universal promotion of the principles of Zazen. This is all wrong. There was no promotion. We were not promoting Zazen. Universal recommendation of Zazen. So, translation can really, maybe careless translation or ignorant translation can make us think along the subject separated from the object line. And that's the paradigm we were in. There's the object and I'm the subject, always separated. We separated, we created it. And in Zazen, you uncreate it. So isn't that interesting? Universal promotion of the principles of Zazen. It's actually universal recommendation of Zazen, okay? And this came when Dogen, our ancestor, there's this picture over there with the silk kata hanging around it. He was our ancestor from the Soto school. And he wrote this when he came back from China. He went to China in his deep quest. And the question, I think you must have a question. His question was, if we are Buddhas, then why do we have to practice? If we're Buddhas already, why do we have to practice? Interesting, huh? But no one could answer it. So he went to China to find out. He had that quest. And what is your question? Who are you? What am I to do in this life? I mean, you must have some question. If you have no question, your boat will just float. There's no rudder to your boat. It'll just float and your life will be in vain, basically. You won't be satisfied. I mean, thoroughly satisfied. So I want to say this, maybe I'm not such a good teacher, but when we chant the Fukan Zazengi, we do it every syllable. The way is originally. And you know what? Everybody leaves the Zoom. No one stays. This is the last sitting at night. And maybe I failed. Our students, our Sangha, don't have the strength to do this practice. And this is what we practice. Because our minds and tradition and culture and education has been geared to keep going straight. Don't go back. You go straight. And this is really important practice because it does something to your mind, the psychology of your mind, the structure, the training, the imprint, what we've been taught, how the mind works. This is really important. I encourage, I ask you humbly to please practice what we practice. Zen is just like that. Some people kind of think they're special. They have a different practice, but in Zen, we're all the same. We're not special. Even me, I'm not special. I still have to practice. So there are other practices, other disciplines, like in Kyoto archery. They have a bamboo, I don't know what you call it, the bow. And of course, it's 6 feet, okay? And it's not in the center, because if it was in the center, you couldn't shoot it. So it's off center. And so, but this kind of bow, it's too powerful to use your strength to pull it. Western bows are made with you just shoulder your way in, you know. But this bow, you put it over your head, and with your mind and your body and your arms, you pull it down. And then you aim and you shoot. You release the arrow. And shooting a bow, it was, when I was younger, was one of my favorite things. We lived across the elementary school. So somehow I bought a Taiwanese Aboriginal bow, and it was not very big. It was just so big, and even the sheath was on the hand on the bow itself. And somehow, I mean, I wasn't interested in Zen, but somehow I was interested in, I guess I didn't even think of it, testing the mind, testing yourself. And I'm sure you've done it in your own different ways. So my way was when school wasn't in session, I would draw a circle around myself, maybe a 15-foot circle. And I would stand in the center of it. And then I would look up in the sky and I would shoot the arrow into the sky. And you had to pay attention, because there's some point, first you hear have you ever shot the bow? You hear the feathers that go in the air, cut through the air, and you watch, you better watch it. And then at some point it changes. And that's the beauty of it. At some point, something changes. Twilight, night and day, even in the ground, when coal becomes diamond, the super pressure, the opposites come together and they change. And when that change happens, the arrow starts to fall straight down, and you move very slowly away from which way is it falling, and this is what I did. And you must have had some kind of, can you recall some kind of testing yourself? No, we're not that lazy, are we? But anyway, you get my point. Okay, shooting the bow. And we had students come here and shoot the bow from a Kyoto teacher. And well, what happened was that I noticed when they got ready to shoot the bow, it's not hitting the target. In the West, it's the bullseye. It's the whole process is the bullseye. This is really important, because we're looking for the bullseye. We're always looking for the bullseye. That's why our life is suffering. So they're trained to do this. So you stand a certain way, you come out, it's your turn, and you're wearing a certain kind of costume. That means that it's not your personal clothes. This is not my Bill's clothes. It's somebody, it's the Kyoto, the principle of Kyoto. Okay, so, and you get up there, you put your legs a certain way, hold your legs, and then I saw them put an arrow on the ground with the blade, the point sticking into your gut. So there's two legs and the arrow. That's a tripod. That's the most stable position you could have, a triangle, right? But if you slip, you will kill yourself. So this point of the arrow makes you awake, you know, and then you go through the motion and shoot the arrow. And when I was watching, I said, just shoot the arrow. Shoot the arrow, you know, because I was impatient. And the same thing happens when we chant the Fukan Zazengi. Syllable, so it takes us almost 1 hour. People, they can't stand it. Hurry up, shoot the arrow or finish. What page am I on now? And it's also very interesting because when you hear the chant, when your conscious mind is trying to follow it or look for it, you can't find it because the chant is not words anymore. It's one, and they're not making sense. We read sense quickly. It makes sense, you know, for us. We have things make sense all the time. Anyway, just one more example. When we went to, I think it was Sojiji, one of the head monastery temples of social school, there was a ceremony. And actually a ceremony of people, friends of mine and people I know well, they said ceremony is just ceremony, it's really nothing. And so is ritual, but actually the ritual and the ceremony is for you to find out who you are at that moment. So like in tea ceremony, I heard it's a full mat room. You don't step on the black line. Well, is that etiquette or protocol? Or are they that finicky? The idea is because you don't step on that line, you are aware of your feet. When you enter the zendo, you step in the foot furthest away from the altar. So when you come in, you would step on the left. And when you go out, you would step on the right. It's to make us notice where we are. When you put your shoes down, it's not protocol. It's about being where you are so you can allow the presence. You can find your own presence, your own being, your inner being. Okay? So there was a big ceremony. It was a big hall, maybe 20 times larger than this hall. And again, there was a ceremony, gongs and bells and all these instruments they push you into a higher level. Oh, maybe I shouldn't use the word higher, another level. And the gongs and the bells reverberate when they're struck well, and it cleans out your thinking. They're made to be outside also. The Liberty Bell, the Western bells are different, but these bells are constructed that the vibration keeps going, and it cuts your thought. It cuts your thinking mind. That's what I think that's what it did to me. I mean, I didn't notice at the time, but that's what happened. So in this big ceremony, as we're watching it, with the bells, the gongs, and everybody's in there, and the officiant comes out and he's going to offer incense, and he finally does, and he comes back to his place, and the chanting is going on, and then he goes, he starts approaching the altar again, and the altar may be at least from this way, east and west, the length of that. But every time he took one step back. and then he took another step, he took one step back. I said, when is it going to finish? When is it going to get to the altar? But this is ritual. This is ceremony. This is untying the knot in our heads, untying our engrooved patterns, habitual patterns. Okay, so I think this point was made well. So it is kind of interesting. Universal promotion. We're not promoting anything. We're just recommending. Okay. And the phrase that one of the phrases that got me, it's about sitting. And it's really beautiful. It takes nearly 1 hour to chant. And so it's this phrase, and it's about Soto Zen meditation. And every time the word should is used, I finally realized it is not this should. Zen is not this should. When Suzuki Roshi uses the word, or when it's used in Zen, it means as it is, as things naturally are. This is should. Okay? You should therefore cease from practice based on intellectual understanding. And this intellectual understanding people like, because they don't have to practice. They like to just talk about it, but they never get into the water. The discussion can keep on going. You have to find out why you're interested in Zen. So he says, you should therefore stop the idea of intellectual understanding and pursuing after words and letters, and learn the backward step. See, that's what we're doing. We're learning the backward step. We're learning how to chant the Fukansa Zengi, backward step, syllable by syllable. So we're taking the backward step. We're allowing not our instinct or impulse to engage, but we're just taking it back, just allowing us that space, and turn your light inward. The light meaning you were always looking out, okay? You take that looking out and you turn that light inward. I think of Soto Zen Zazen is you always keep your eyes open. You do not close them. And I think of like a lampshade, you know, like a light with a lampshade. And because the lampshade is there, the light hits the lampshade, right? And it goes in bright. So when you keep your eyes half closed, you also know that you're not asleep. You know that you're in the Zendo. Okay? Other traditions do it differently. But in our school, this is what we do. Turn your light inward to illuminate. And here it is. The next page, it says to illuminate yourself. But in the real translation, it doesn't say yourself, because there's no self. Because things are impermanent, how can a self be a self? And the body and mind will drop away of themselves. Spring comes, grass grows of itself. The body and mind will drop away of itself, of themselves, and your original face, your true nature will manifest itself. If you wish to attain suchness, you should practice suchness without delay. It's quite beautiful, isn't it? Just a few more readings on the So I just read that again, okay? Like you don't have to be smart. In fact, the more smart you are, the worse it is. Zen is worse for you. and not being smart, you may have a big advantage. So it's not measured on what we've learned. I like that. So it means everybody's included. And learn the backward step that turns your light inward. That's all. Echo, and it's echo hensho. We'll go into the words later. Echo hensho. And it doesn't mean to illuminate yourself. It just means to illuminate. Good, huh? I don't know who translated this, but anyway, I'm going off of Okumura's translation. The body and mind will drop away. Jeez, is that scary? Huh? But your body and mind's gonna drop away. When I was young, I didn't know what that meant. You know, it was very mysterious for me, but it kept on holding me. But it's the idea that you have of your body and yourself. It's the idea will drop. You know, I'm still here, right? But it's the idea of the self, the body and mind will drop away of themselves. All you do is you take the backward step, you take your light and you focus, or don't, not even focus. You just, your intention is to take the backward step, take the light and shine, illuminate. There's a great illumination within yourself, but you don't know it. And if you wish to attain this suchness, this is the essence of humanity. You should practice suchness without delay. Okay? So he goes on. Yeah, he came back. Dogen came back. It's the Renaissance time in Japan. There are many traditions that also blossomed out during that time. That was 13th century. So he's not promoting this, he's just recommending it. Well, the other schools were also recommending their traditions or even promoting their traditions. So it goes on and says, once you have adjusted yourself into this posture, you take a deep breath. And in this deep breath, we have 3 PowerPoints. 2 fingers beneath the navel is your tanden. And this is humanity's field of essence. 2 fingers beneath the navel. And within that is the kikai. Ki is spirit, ocean, vitality. And kai is ocean. The ocean of vitality exists within the tanden. This is the PowerPoint we focus on. And actually, you have a front, but also you have a back. So you breathe through, on the inhalation breath, you breathe through both places. And when you breathe through both places, you will locate the mind. You will find out where your mind dwells. It's not up here. Here's another power spot. Here's another power spot. But for Zazen, for Zen, we do this one. Okay? So he says, Dogen says, take a deep breath, breathe in, exhale, rock your body from right to left, and settle into a steady, unmoving sitting position. Think of not thinking. How do you do that, huh? But you know, it's a physical, experiential sense. We're not, you know, this is not even second or third, maybe fourth or fifth, the thinking apparatus. We're sitting into the sensorial awareness of your physical body. And because you're sitting down or in a chair, you're dropping, you're breathing down here, you're dropping the gravity down, not up. It's everything is going down. So you're really settled. So, I mean, when you walk or take a hike for 10 miles or something, it's your mind is in your body. You don't think, you don't have to think. There's no need to think that much. You don't have to think about philosophy, you know, because you're in your mind and body are together. Okay? Because our mind and body is separated. That's why we think a lot. Because the heat is going up. We can't sleep, we have anxiety, we have migraine, on and on. Okay. And so I like this part. He says, so after you settle, right? Okay, say you're not in the sitting position. Okay, say you're on your couch and you settle in. You know what that feels like, right? Or in your bed when you settle in. It's enjoyable and pleasant, isn't it? We need to do that once a day at least, whether you sit or not. But you know how to settle yourself somewhere, sometime. Okay, so we're settled now, and we're not thinking is like number 6 or 7, and you're taking the backward step, and you're turning the light inward just to illuminate. So that means you have it already. In fact, the Zen saying is before you sit, you have accomplished 70 to 80%. We're trained to get the results, but the result has already happened and you missed it. I mean, it's just so amazing. Okay, so there's the illumination, right? Okay, you're illuminating, but not yourself. You're just illuminating because there's no self. Okay, so think or not thinking. How do you think of not thinking? And I was thinking of a master and disciple because this is Dogen's. Well, the disciples asking him, how do you think not thinking? And the next one-word sentence is non-thinking. But maybe the teacher said non-thinking. But you know, and here is non-thinking. Okay, the next sentence. This is in itself the essential art of Zazen. This is Zazen. Now listen to this. The Zazen I speak of is not learning meditation. You're not learning meditation. We're not teaching meditation. I hope our meditation instructors hear this. It is simply the Dharma gate of repose and bliss. This is not an assumption. It's a realization. It's a truth. It means you have it. But it's yet to be realized with a pivotal mind and body experience. And maybe it's very amazing. You have realized it already, but no one has ever verified it. There are many examples about this. No one has ever verified it because they haven't verified their own. Your parents don't know anything about it. I mean, how can you realize something that you don't have? That's it right there. So the Zazen I speak of is not learning meditation. It is simply the Dharma gate of repose and bliss. It is the practiced realization of total culminated enlightenment. It is things as they are in suchness. I have to continue with this talk because I thought it was going to be short, but I received from Okamura and Tonin a book called Ryokan's inter uh, their translation of Ryokan's poems and his explanations. And here they talk about Echo Hensho again. Okay. And this is really this is what happens. And so it's about Ryokan, who was one of my favorite Zen masters, when he was doing takohatsu, and that's when he went begging. And it's a tradition in the Far East, but here maybe not a tradition. I just did it one time with Weitzman and another Japanese monk. And you dress a certain way. You have a real big hat, a straw hat, and you have a kind of gloves, and you have leggings. So it's impersonal. Your personality, your character is hidden behind the clothes, and you walk down on the left side of the street, and you chant whole, Dharma, and they know you're coming, and you go to each place, business, home, and one place I went to, and I thought the guy was going to throw the vacuum cleaner at me. He was vacuuming, and he saw me at the door, and he was, and this is what happens, and you are just doing takohatsu. If someone gives you something, fine. If someone does not give you something, or gives you hate and disgust, fine. You say thank you, you bow to him or her, and you go to the next door. But you have a pattern, and this is what you do. So we came back with some money. It was a cold day, and we got some noodles with it. But for him, this was how he lived. So he says, finish, this is the beginning of the poem, finish with begging in a desolate village. So, already he's not going to get very much. I return to my hermitage with its mossy green rock. As the evening sun sets behind the western ridge, the pale moon is reflected in the stream before my hut. I wash my feet and ascend the rock, burn incense, and I sit peacefully in zazen. Also a child of the Sangha. How can I spend the passing years in vain? So the scenery is something very beautiful. This is the east and that's the west. When the sun starts setting in the west, below the horizon, it's twilight. It's in between. That's a very important time. In the morning, it's in between. But something happens. And I think photographers, twilight and when dawn, those are the best time to take pictures because of the lighting. But it's not just beauty and aesthetics, but there's a Dharma, a universe principle that illuminates. Okay, so we go into that. And the scenery is very beautiful in a short period of time. If you live in the city, in a big city, I don't think you could see it because there's too many lights. But when you live in the country, you can see it and you can feel it. So here we are again, Eko Hensho. And Fukan Zazengi means a universal recommendation of Zazen. And one of the common translation expression, Eko Hensho, is to turn the light. I just put to turn your light, okay? To turn your light inward and illuminate the self. And this is one very common English translation of this Chinese expression. But turn the light inward and illuminate the self is not the exact translation. In Eiko, A means to turn, and Ko means light. The kanji for Ko is a person carrying a torch and has these strokes going like so. Ko, turn the light, okay? Like we do in Zazen, turn the light. Inward and illuminate the self is not the exact translation. Okay, so turn the light. Hen, echo, hen means to return, and show means to illuminate. So even my name, Jakusho, show, illuminate. So this expression doesn't say to illuminate the self, but it says turn the light and return the illumination. And this illumination is like when spring comes, grass grows of itself. You don't do anything. All you do is steer the boat, turn the light. And this, the body and mind will be dropped off. And he goes into, hey, it's almost 12 o'clock. Are you hungry? Was it boring? I still have these 3 things to read about this, which I find very interesting. Eko Hensho, okay? Because Zen is about the universe. I mean, it includes everything. And here's why. So it's not just beauty or aesthetics. There's something great happening behind that. Although the sun is going, its light still illuminates. The sun is gone. This is what turning the light means. The sun is not here. It is already gone. Yet the sunlight returns and illuminates this entire world. The mountains in the east are illuminated by this light, and the sun is already set. And they reflect it and make the sky bright and beautiful. The expression Eko Hensho is a description of this. there are two other meanings for this. The second meaning of the Chinese expression "echo hensho" is something found in a dictionary and also heard from a Chinese person. And this expression is used when a person is dying. Somehow, right before the person dies, the life force returns to the person's face and becomes bright. So this expression is used to describe a person's death. And that, I thought of my father died when he was in the hospital. He died a couple of days later. His face was really bright. It looked like he shouldn't be there. This is what echo hensho means. The brightness, the sun setting, the illumination is there. Right before dying, right before the sun sets, this life force illuminates. Yet the person's almost gone, yet at the last minute, the person comes back and the person's face is very bright. This is twilight. Life has almost ended, and yet at that very moment, the life force returns and illuminates the person. That's the second meaning. And the third meaning is like when second wind, when you're exhausted, like maybe in the 7-day session, the third day, they say you will get second wind because you're so exhausted. Second wind is the same meaning as echo hensho. So these three meanings of this expression share something in common. The sun or life or our energy are almost gone. They're not there anymore, yet the life force illuminates the world or us so that the world or we become bright and beautiful with the light within which we exist peacefully. Okay, thank you.